How's everybody doing? Drop a 111. Y'all, everybody doing good. Oh, I see. Damn, we got 95 people in this call. Woo! All right, so I want to see real quick. Drop a 111 if you are from Retire Young Group, or Profit Bones, drop a 222. Sheesh. That's awesome, y'all. Oh my goodness. Hold on, let me put this on my IG real quick. Damn, we are almost hitting 100 people on this call. And we got Profit Bones in the house and Retire Young in the house. Let's go. Awesome, awesome. So I'm going to introduce myself because I know a lot of people here don't know me. My name is Aline. I've been trading for a while now. I think, just give me 1 second. Sorry, y'all, my son's gonna be right with me, okay? Oh, I see Joshua spamming Profit Bones. Y'all gotta step it up, you know what I'm saying? All right, so tonight what I'm gonna be doing is actually, I have a special guest. His name is Baker, Anthony Baker. I met him through Kevin Serrano's live sessions, and back in January, I started watching Kevin back in January, and yeah, Breaker Box. And Baker was actually co-hosting the sessions, right? So, and you know, if you've been on Kevin Serrano's live, I think he's here too on the call. And they always talking, breaking down the market and giving setups. And one day they mentioned, Baker mentioned the 4 rules. I'm like, hold on a second. What is 4 rules? I didn't know. And then so I was like on the chat spamming questions like, what is 4 rules? Is that like a code or something? I want to know. And then he said, oh, it's a strategy. That's it. I'm like, okay. And then the second time I heard it again, I was like, hold on, y'all talking a lot about these 4 rules. I need to know. So he actually added me on the Profit Bones chat, and then I saw one of his trainings about the 4 rules. I was like, well, this is awesome. This is very good. And then he introduced me to the educator that actually teaches the 4 rules, which is Andre. I'm not going to pronounce his last name because it is very hard. He's actually on his Slovenian channel. Okay. Yeah, everybody going to ask me, but hold on a second. Do you speak that language? It's like, no, I don't. He does speak English, which is good. So everybody can hop on this call, you know, he's amazing. But yeah, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna introduce for you guys Anthony Baker. Okay, I met him through Kevin's session. He's a great trader. Oh my God, he knows how to break it down the market very easily. And he's been trading for a while now. I know he retired himself using the 4 rules. So I'm gonna give him the floor so he can introduce himself. Let me try to find you on the call right here. All right. I'll make you the host so you can go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody how you started trading, how you start using the 4 rules. Go ahead, Baker.
Yo, what's good, Eleni? How you doing?
Doing great, man. Thank you for doing this for us, man.
Hey, thank you. It's an honor. Like she said, I mean, I've been doing the 4 rules for a minute. So I'm gonna show you where to find the 4 rules, the product that gives you the 4 rules. But I want to talk about my story first. Um, so the 4 rules, like she said, it came from my friend Andre, and he actually learned it from another friend, and his name was Gavin. And Gavin used to be an educator in the platform, and at one point, the strategy that he made was called Gavin's 4 rules, and but we just call it the 4 rules, right? And it's funny because every time I say the 4 rules, I laugh because so many people ask me what are the 4 rules, and I'm like, well, I've been doing this for over a year. I've been using the 4 rules since March of 2019. When a little bit about my story, I used to be a valet attendant and I used to work overnight, but I found the 4 rules and got the hell out of there. So one night I stumbled upon this was back before we rebranded, right? This was just IML, iMarkets Live, and it wasn't the IM Mastery Academy that it is now. And oh, thank God for those changes, man, because I've gotten better along with it, no cap. But with uh with the old platform, they used to just have whoever was live, it would be in the left side, and Andre would be live at the time that I would get on the computer and look at go live. And I know a lot about the go live, so don't hesitate about the go live. Don't even fret about it, because man, you can learn from anything on the go live. But I found Andre off of the old platform, and he's been an educator for like 2 or 3 years. And I really like Andre because Andre is very disciplined. He's super focused. He does one thing at one time, and it's just always fire. And yeah, back in March 2019, I found his channel, and then he does what he does now. He does the same exact thing. He goes over the strategy every single night, and he looks for trade ideas. And um, so yeah, one night I found Andre's channel, and one night he did his thing with like 5 trade ideas, and all of them smacked. Like he has his moments where, or he has his sessions where all the trade ideas smack, but that's just because he knows what he's doing. And coincidentally, one of the first times that it was the first time that I popped onto a session, he called out, he talked about his trading plan, he talked about the strategy that he uses, and then he chopped it up on the charts, and then bam, he called out 5 trades, and I hit 5 TPs that night. They were all really quick too. And ever since that first moment, I've always been, involved with the 4 rules, and the 4 rules are just fire. So right now, uh, I've been using the 4 rules for a year and about 3 months, maybe even 4 months now. But it all started with the go live, and shout out Kevin. His name's Kevin Hart on this. But you know, shout out Kevin and people like him and Andre, because you know, like they're the ones who are leading the path. Like they're the ones who are educating us and giving us the tools and showing us all the steps um to get done what we need to get done to make this bread. You already know what it is. So on the Go Live platform, in order to find Andre, first you got to wait for the platform to load, right? We pay for this. But you'll click the language. Obviously it's English. This is an international company. We have over 250,000 people, from Japan, from Germany, from, there's people in India. um I mean, there's people in the Netherlands, right, that be trading. You know why? Because it's the foreign exchange market. Anybody can come in here and do this. And I'm so glad that I met people like Andre and Kevin and Alini too, because me and Alini have been grinding, and it's cool to do this with somebody and learn with somebody and get, the right guidance with somebody and stay on the right track and shit. Like that's what it's all about. I started trading with my homie Lance back in the day, way back in the day. And you know the growth is crazy when you're focused with your whole team. And that's why I built this company too, because it works, and everybody can do this. But under the Slovenian channel, right, you'll find my friend Andre, and he has a what seems to be a thick Russian accent, but he's from Slovenia. And he speaks English. He also speaks Slovenian. You'll hear him speak Slovenian sometimes, but this is the man that taught me how to use the 4 rules. Um, for him specifically, he uses the 4 rules just a tad differently than I do. Um, the way that he uses it is that he uses it on the 15 minute, and he has his own settings. But what I'm about to show you tonight on my end, um, I use it on the hour, and I use the default settings. But when you click on Andre's channel, you just click on his picture, and then you can watch all the recorded sessions. All of his TPs are recorded. All of the SLs are recorded, and he's radical, bro. He's the best, and he teaches you his strategy specifically um, under his favorite video. In this video, he talks about his pips results from the year of 2019. Um, Real quick, his he goes live Tuesday through Thursday during the London session, and then on Tuesday and Wednesday he also does a quick New York session too. But Andre is really cool. You know, you ask anything in the chat and he answers it, and he puts all the trade ideas in the chat that he takes. You know, he's super connected with everybody, and that's why it was easy to, you know, connect with Andre and really like what he does. But he teaches you a simple strategy in this video. He teaches you what to look for. But today, I'm going to teach you what I look for on the four rules. But first off, big shout out to Vibrata. Big shout out to London Payout. You already know what it is. Um,
Hey, babe,
uh,
can you let
good
them? I
platform.
think we got two people try to get on the call. Can you let them in, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me see. Oh yeah. Dang, we had a lot of people. Whoops. Does it go to 100?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It keeps maxing out, and
Audrey's
people keep coming in and out, but it's all good. It's all good. Thankful for the people that are here. You already know what it is. But yeah, thankful for the Vibrata platform too, and the London payout. They show us how to get the bread, right? And Vibrata consists of a lot of strategies, right? And I just call Vibrata a tool that can help you profit in the market, right? Whenever if I'm trying to sell the product, I say that Vibrata is like the Swiss Army knife of trading, bro. You can pull out whatever strategy you want. But on the Vibrata, they got the four rules, right? And it's super simple, right? We look for four things. Um, so the first ever pair that I ever looked at on the four rules was actually gold. So I'm just gonna go back to the roots and start on gold. When I back tested the 1 hour, like I literally saw no losses ever. But I started losing as I, got, into impulse trading and stuff. But I'm gonna teach you a way that helps keep you patient and wait for the right trade. So with the four rules, there's four indicators, right? There's the Bollinger Bands. You can see the Bollinger Bands right here. They're the tube looking things, right? Um, to me, the Bollinger Bands are like a moving support and resistance. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing as trend lines in a way, but they're not. It's what it is. But the Bollinger Bands is like a mathematical um it's a mathematical equation, right? And that mathematical equation is based around something known as standard deviation. And if you've ever taken calculus, you've heard of that. But if you haven't taken calculus, you don't even know what I'm saying. But I'm going to show you a way to keep this easy, right? With the Bollinger Bands, the first rule is I'm looking for a break of the Bollinger Bands. That's the first rule. So I'm looking for a break of these top side or this bottom side. And um, I mean, you can see today we got breaks of the top side up here, but this is the first rule. So if you start to see the price break the Bollinger Bands, you're going to start looking for a trade idea. And if it starts to break the bottom Bollinger Bands, we're going to start looking for buys. And then if it's breaking the top Bollinger Bands, we're going to be looking for sells. So today we were riding along the Bollinger Bands all day. So if you were using this strategy and just looking at the Bollinger Bands, you would automatically be thinking sell. But as you can see, it didn't sell when it hit right here. It kept going up. There's a lot of different ways to use the Bollinger Bands, but one of the ways to use it is when it starts to touch the Bollinger Bands, that could be an indication that price is going to go up. But with the four rule strategy, it's kind of it's like a rejection strategy. It's also a scalping strategy. I forgot to mention that off the bat. It's not a swing trading strategy. It's a scalping strategy, and Andre uses it to catch anywhere from 10 to 40 pips, and he normally risks anywhere from 30 to 50 pips, but usually he keeps it right at 40 pips. If you watch his sessions a lot, you'll notice that his stop losses are 40 pips. And then he scalps the market for 10, 20, 30, or even 40 pips, or even 15 or 25, whatever it may be. But again, right back to the Bollinger Bands. Sorry, I'm jumping everywhere. But if the price is breaking the top side of the Bollinger Bands, then we're looking for sells. And then if the price is breaking the bottom side, we're going to start looking for buy ideas. All right, so that's the first rule: is a break of the Bollinger Bands, no matter which way. As long as it's breaking, the first rule is smacking. And preferably, um, when it comes to the four rules, I like to take an entry at the top of the hour. And I mean, at the top of the hour, you can catch, the next engulfing candle if it's to come or whatnot. But I'm actually going to get away from gold and actually pull up a trade I was a part of today. So on NZD CAD. Today on NZD CAD, during the New York session, so New York is more significant to the Canadian dollar because that's just timing. I noticed on a lot of Canadian dollar pairs we were getting Bollinger Bands touched, and on a lot of New Zealand dollar pairs we were outside of the Bollinger Bands. So immediately this morning when I looked at NZD CAD, I was looking more towards a sell because price was breaking the Bollinger Band. So that was the first rule. Like I said, there's four indicators on the four rules. There's the Bollinger Bands, the RSI, which is the relative strength index, the stochastic oscillators, um, which measure, or they try to measure the transactions of the currencies that are going down in the world as they happen and stuff like that. So if you see a spike normally, and it also reflects the price on the chart, sometimes they can reflect the movement of money literally. But the last one is the MACD. All right. But we got the Bollinger Bands, right? This morning during the New York session, which is, again, significant to the Canadian dollar, I started seeing that Bollinger Bands were breaking. So the next rule is going to be the RSI. And then the RSI, the way that it works with the strategy is pretty much the same as the Bollinger Bands. You can see that there's a zone right here. There's a zone 70 at the bottom, and then, uh, sorry, 30 at the bottom, and then 70 at the top. Um, when it's breaking the top side, very similar to the Bollinger Bands, I'm going to start looking for a sell idea. And then on the bottom, if it breaks the bottom, I'm going to look for a buy idea. So pretty much I'm using the four rules as confirmations for a trade. And if I see all four of the rules matching up, then I'm going to take a trade. And over here, the RSI looks good for a sell, like at these points when the market is above the 70. And yeah, an added bonus, normally you can't see it like when I'm up in here like this, but um, if I NZD CAD is kind of a bad one to look at in the past because it actually had 9 days of consolidation. But today I saw the four rules. This is like, as my buddy Lance would call it, this is ping pong trading. The market is bouncing off support and resistance, and we caught a good sell off the resistance. But we got the Bollinger Bands breaking during the New York session today, and then the RSI at the same time as it was breaking was above the 70, looking for a sell. So we had one rule, and then we had two rules for a sell. So now I'm going to move to my next rule. The third rule is the stochastic oscillators. And keep in mind, I do this on the 1 hour mainly, and I keep all the settings default settings, so you don't have to change the settings. But when you use it like Andre, he uses it on the 15-minute with different settings. So just keeping that in mind as well. But the stochastic oscillators, um, we look for the same idea as we did with the RSI. So if it's above, I want to see both lines crossing above 80. So the difference on here, the zone is 80 to 20. But with the stochastic oscillator, I'm looking for both lines to be above 80 for a sell, and then below 20 for a buy. And on the sell, if the if the stochastic oscillators come up here and then start to flatten out, I like that. I like that a lot. So as you can see, I'm gonna circle like, let me see. I'm gonna circle like right here. Um, this morning the stochastic oscillator was flat. That's not a confirmation, but that's an added bonus to the confirmation for the stochastic. If the stochastic line was starting to go flat, it's more than likely going to come back into the base that it was in. So yeah, the stochastic was looking fire this morning, and then last but not least, we have the MACD. But okay, keep in mind this was all for a sell idea, and then vice versa when it comes to the stochastic, vice versa for a buy. I'm looking for the lines to be below the 20, and looking for the way back up. Personally, like I kind of mentioned this earlier, I like it when it goes flat, but when this blue line crosses the red line on the way down, or if the blue line crosses the red line on the way up on the opposite spectrum, that's another confirmation for the stochastic. So if it's going flat and the blue just crossed the red, that could be a good indication that the stochastic is going to do what we want for this trade. But keep in mind, like the four rules, it works. It's nothing is 100%. So you always got to have a stop loss in the market to protect your account and stuff like that. And a lot of people say that, and it's just because it's true. Hate to say it, but uh, next we're going to move to the MACD. So the MACD is going to be my final confirmation for a trade, and this is the one that you got to be the most patient with. So on the MACD, there's a lot of ways to use it, but for me and on the four rules, I personally look for the wave to be fully waved. And I liked what I saw over here this morning for a sell, um, because we had, or first I'll explain, there's two parts of the MACD. There's this wave, and then there's two oscillating lines like the stochastic. I like to see, for a sell, I like to see the wave up, and then I like to see the blue line and the red line above the wave, and uh, we have to wait for the histogram. And then for a buy idea, I like to see the wave going down, and then both of the lines being way below the wave. And then I'm going to talk about the histogram. So this wave is called a histogram. And every single candle that comes out, the histogram prints a new bar, right? I, for a sell, I personally like when the histogram prints smaller than the last histogram, and so on and so forth. As you can see, both lines were above the wave, and then we wait for the wave to, like, fully wave out. And then right here, when the MACD printed smaller, that's when you would have taken an entry right on the top of the new hour. So I'm going to mark that right here. Let me see. I'm going to mark this histogram right there. And along with that histogram, right, we had the stochastic oscillator fully waved, and it crossed already. The blue had already crossed the red. More importantly, I want to get to right here where we are in the candlesticks. The RSI was already breaking 70 and starting to go flat too, so that's a good sign. As long as it's above 70, that's good. I mean, there are sometimes extremes where price is like way above 70, like at 90 or 95, whatever. That's a good for an overbought sell. But anyways, on this part where the histogram printed smaller, that's when the candlestick started to show us that NCAD was losing its way to the upside, because we had the MACD, the momentum indicator, showing us that it was starting to exhaust. And with the candlesticks, with the RSI, with all of the four rules, we were seeing a sell. But I really like this trade idea this morning because one thing, we had very, very good candlestick confirmations for a sell. Like right here I won't even look at the Bollinger Bands. Um, we had we had long wicks right after a big move up, right? We were already looking at the Bollinger Bands, but say the Bollinger Bands weren't here. We started to get these spinning tops right here. This is called spinning tops. These are just two dojis right next to each other. So we saw price give us wicks right here, some exhaustion that it wasn't going to go up anymore. And then we saw dojis, which signaled our reversal, right? And then a big candle for the sell. But today we had price riding along the Bollinger Bands, but as you see here, price was hitting the Bollinger Bands. That's our first confirmation. But right here, the other rules were not matching up, so we couldn't take the trade. And I want to emphasize that we have to have all four rules to take a four rules trade. Okay, and a lot of the time you'll see that price will impulse up and start to hit the bands, but a lot of times the other indicators won't be matching up. So I like to wait for the impulse, and then I like to wait for a lot of the candlestick confirmations. And when you see these types of candlestick confirmations, like the wicks and the dojis, along with the four rules, you'll start to notice that these indicators also go flat, and you start to see these blue crossing over the red and whatnot. But um, nonetheless, we just had to be super patient with NCAD because we saw it along the Bollinger Bands the whole time. But as you can see, the RSI just wasn't ready. The MACD wasn't ready down here. So this was a perfect example for a four rules sell because and I'm explaining this one because I was a part of this trade. I didn't get in this trade until the New York session. It was hitting the bands all New York or London session, and then during the New York session, it started to stall out, and then the rules were matching up, so I called the trade out for my team. But um, let me see. Wait here real quick. And then yeah, but with the four rules, it's something that you got to be patient for, and you got to really know what you're doing. You got to execute it perfectly. Um, like it's something that you got to wait for everything to be fully waived, and um, I like to catch the rejection on a lot of things. Like if I see or here, one combination I want to give to you is the head and shoulder pattern and the four rules. If you see like the head and shoulder pattern and the four rules on like the right shoulder or something, then take the right shoulder trade. But one combination in this company that's really fire is Oron Wright and Andre. You can combine their two strategies and maybe never lose. Shout out compliance. But this was I just want to just leave this up on the screen. This is a perfect idea for the four rules sell. We had the Bollinger Bands hit to the top side. We had the RSI above 70 and also starting to go flat just a little bit. We had the stochastic above 80 also going flat. So the stochastic was more flat than the RSI. This is a better confirmation. But, we couldn't take this trade until the RSI was above 70 and the MACD was looking right. But as you can see here, good sell example on the stochastic. And then last but not least, the MACD, we had the wave, we had the lines above the wave, and then the histogram printed smaller. You definitely got to wait for that histogram to print smaller. Let me take off this line. You can see the histogram right here printed smaller. We have to wait for that histogram. That's like the last rule. And a lot of the times you'll see a lot of some of the rules are matching up, and then maybe one of them's not hitting, or maybe two and two, or maybe just one and not three of them aren't looking. But all four rules have to be hit. It's called the four rules for a reason, because all four rules need to be present before you take a four rules trade.
Hey Baker, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, what's the wave you called it a histogram? What's it called?
Yeah, a histogram is just the type of graph.
No, okay, cool. Do you always choose the histogram that's going down like that? It created the wave and then it started to go down. Do you always choose the next one?
I choose the one that prints lower.
You always choose the
Well,
The
this is
first
for a
one that
sell
goes
idea
lower,
though.
right?
I'm gonna look for a buy idea in the market here soon. But yeah, I always wait for. I mean, on a sell, if I'm looking for a sell, I gotta wait for the histogram to print smaller than the last one right up in here. But for a buy idea, the histogram needs to print more towards the baseline. So I could have said that the other way. For a sell, I want the histogram to print more back towards the baseline. And then on a buy, I want the histogram to print, um, more the way up, smaller than this last one, but more up here. So it's just the complete opposite. But yeah, I always have to wait for this histogram to print. And that's why I always like taking it at the top of the hour too, so that I catch that full candle, what it's or whether if it's gonna go down or up, whether I'm gonna buy or sell. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, always wait for the histogram. And then when it comes to the MACD, over here looked like a possible buy setup on the MACD because we had the line fully waved below it, even right over. This is a sell, but for the buy, it looks good over here because we had the wave going down, and then the lines below the wave. We would just have to wait for smaller histogram printing to enter a possible trade idea. But when it comes to the histogram, it's really like the last piece of the puzzle. Like you have to wait for the histogram to get smaller, and that's one thing that Andre's gotten really, really good at, and that's why he hits a lot of trades at one time too, because he's super patient with it. And yeah, but over here, I think I was looking at that MACD. None of the other indicators were matching up. We had touches, but nothing was below, so we couldn't have taken that. But that's what I'm looking at for a buy, though, when it comes to the MACD. I need to see the lines below, and then the histogram start to print its way up. But let's start here. I'm gonna do GBP JPY real quick and see if I can find a quick buy idea. Let me see. So we had some touches out here, right here. Let me take away this one. This one was better. So pretty much right here. This is a decent example because um, Andre also talks about like exponential moves, and you don't want to get into something. You don't want to get into a sell when price is breaking out for, or sorry, you don't want to get into a buy when price is breaking out for a sell, and you don't want to be on the wrong side of the momentum. So he always talks about like exponential moves. If you see really large candlesticks that are starting to pop outside of the Bollinger Bands, then maybe you would want to stay away from it for just a little bit. Maybe you'd want to wait for some more candles to print because it may look juicier later. But right here, as you can see, the prices were breaking the Bollinger Bands, and then we got this little wick right here, and then it started to move up. So in my eyes, I saw this candle, but just because it was such an exponential move right at the start of the London, or no, this is the end of Tokyo session going into the London session. Um, so yeah, pretty much just the timing. I would have waited for the London session to start before I even tried to buy off of the strategy. If you match it up with the timing, it could be very, very good too. But if you see exponential moves where the candlesticks are so much bigger than the previous ones, wait for the candles to start showing you that it's about to slow down because you don't want to be on the wrong side of the trade. Um, but right here, when price started to slow down, we got that doji and that little wick right here. The RSI was looking fire for a buy. It was way below 30. It was right over here at 20. The stochastic was below. Um, oh, sorry. This one was 30. The stochastic was below 20, and the blue crossed up on the red. And then if we take a look at the MACD right here too, we saw the wave down right up in here, and then both of the lines were already below it. We just had to wait for the histogram to print, and then the histogram printed right there. So technically, if we're waiting for the very, very last confirmation, we would have taken the trade right here. So let me just get rid of that. We would have taken the trade right here. And if we did take the trade right there, we would have hit our at least 10 pip scalp. We would have hit dang near 50 pips off of that little pullback right up in there. And yeah, that's a good picture of a buy idea right up in here. We just had to wait for that histogram to print smaller. But basically on the four rules, you're looking for the same thing on all the what's it called, indicators. And you know, if everything's looking down, then that could be a fire buy idea, as you know, as long as we do the nitty gritty and do our work and know the strategy. And then vice versa for a sell. If everything's waved to the top side, then we're going to start looking for the sell. But yeah, uh, Andre uses the four rules every single night. This is what he does. If I kind of confused you tonight, then definitely hop on with me on Go Live and watch Andre with me. Um, he'll be on for the London session tonight, and then he'll be on at 10 a.m. Eastern for for the New York session. But yeah, let me check out the chat real quick.
So for those that don't know, Andre comes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. London time is 2:30 in the morning, Eastern time, okay? And like Baker said, he comes on a New York session, which is at 10 o'clock in the morning. Alrighty. Does anybody have any questions? Tap on 111 if you're good to go. Great.
Yeah, check out Andre.
Awesome, awesome.
Hey, yo, Baker, I got a question.
It was good.
Hey, man, so let's just say I'm using the four rules, right? And let's just say, you know, I was looking at NZD CAD
Oh
and,
yeah.
and everything was lining up. Should I take it if everything's lining up, or should I wait till a specific session to take these trades?
Well, you always got to be aware of the timing. That's a good question. So NZD CAD, like when I started talking about this, I mean, for the strategy, like why I talked about why I took the sell, it was during the New York session, and that was significant for the Canadian dollar. So, I mean, it may not always be the case, but it's better to take a trade during the New York session on pairs that are known, or on pairs that their market is open during the New York session. So for the New York session, it's the USD, the Canadian dollar, and even the Mexican peso. And there's a lot of other you know, currencies in there. But I look at the New York session, I'm looking for a move, or I'm keeping my eye out on a move that could happen on the Canadian dollar because it's in session at that time. So during the London session, there's a lot of things that you can trade because there's the overlapping of the Tokyo session and the Australian session going into that. So there's an overlap there that you can take advantage of, you know, with the Australian pairs going, or you can trade the Australian and New Zealand and JPY pairs against pairs that move during London, like the Euro, the CHF, and the GBP. So that is a good question. It's always important to keep in mind, you know, uh, and always important to keep a part of your trading plan what pairs you're going to trade at what times. So if you're going to use the four rule strategy, you can go about it as, oh, I'm going to look at the USD Canadian pairs during New York, and then during London I can look for pairs that move during the ASIN session and then connect them with the London pairs, or you know, London and New York pairs too. So it depends on what time you're trading. So if you're trading in a transitional period, if you're trading at 6 a.m. Eastern from the London to New York, then maybe you would look at a pair that's relevant in London and the New York session, because you could catch a possible transfer of money. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do. All this, a foreign exchange is literally a transferring of money, and all we do is catch it. But yeah, that's a great question, bro. I appreciate you for bringing that on the floor because, I mean, it's the main one of the main points that or one of the main reasons why I took NCAD this morning. You know, during the New York session, is because of the Canadian dollar, right? I could have taken NZD JPY, but that wouldn't have made sense because NZD or JPY are not even in session. And if I did take NZD JPY at the same time, it would have gone up and up and up and up for the whole New York session. So that's just an example of where the timing comes crucial and into play. But yeah, that's a great question. I mean, shit. I was looking at NZD CAD at the perfect time because CAD and New York session just made sense. But yeah, that's what's up.
Bet.
Bet. But yeah, that's what's
Hey
up.
Baker, so I have some people here. They use on the 15 minutes and they use on the on Andre's setup for the indicators. So do you want to go over that, or you want me to go over?
Let me see. I mean, it's in his favorite session. I know he I don't even know. I have to look at what he does, and I have a call here soon. I'd have to look. Do you have it?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
if you
pull
want
that
to
up.
be the host, because I know you got a call within 9 minutes, so I can finish it up just going over the 15-minute time frame if you want to.
Bro, hold up. Why is Kevin the gingerbread man?
He's always changing his name though.
That's pride. Here, I just made you the host.
Thank
But
Why you
but
gotta
yeah,
expose me like that?
you've changed your name like 8 times, SpongeBob.
He was SpongeBob and then he was Brad Pitt. I was like, well, I'm done.
but yeah, what Alini was saying, Andre uses it just a bit differently, but the things that I look for are all the same. And Andre makes a big deal about the histogram. I know that. That's why I tried to make a big deal about it. And I like to add my own twist to it. Like with the RSI and the stochastic, I really like when they go flat. And I also like to match up the candlesticks with the Bollinger Bands. Like if I'm seeing candles with wicks and candles that are dojis that normally signal reversals, then I'm going to incorporate it with the 4 rules and see if they're lining up. But yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna show my screen right now, and I have the setup from Andre. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. Just type on one.
Yeah.
Perfect. So basically, I kind of do the same thing as Baker does because obviously I was watching him doing all the every day basically. But Andre does on the 15 minutes. Let me just cancel this. Okay. And then you can see right here the setups. We got Bollinger Bands on 20 right here. And we got the RSI 7. The stock we got 533 and the MACD is 3, 10, and 16. Basically the same thing, but instead of going for more pips, we just cut for like 10, 15, maybe 20, depends on the pair. Like today in the morning on Kevin's session, we actually had the GBP NZD ruling on the 1 hour, and y'all can see right here the exactly same thing what Baker was just going over. That was the setup right here. This was the call from today in the morning, and I use it as a confirmation. So I plot my zones. Let me just get this people here. So I just plot my zones like daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, like Kevin does. I think we went over that in the previous call, so I'm not gonna go over today. And then I just use the 4 rules just to tell me it's another confirmation that it is about to reverse. Okay, and then I use a lot on the 15 and the 1 hour. That's it. And does anybody have any questions? Let me see the chat. Awesome. If everybody's good to go, I think Baker broke down very, very good. I mean, he gave all the sauce, you know. what's the Bollinger Band setting on the 1 hour? 20. 20 close in 2. So that's the normal for the default for an hour time frame. And then Andres uses 20 as well for the 15 minutes. Okay, great. If everybody's good to go, just type 111. And please follow Baker on his Instagram. I think it's official Baker. And follow me as well. I'll drop it right here. It's my first name and my last name at Aline Uehara. That's my IG. And I'll be dropping the recording. Oh, it's bigger official. Okay, I got backwards. So I'll be dropping this recording on my YouTube. And my YouTube channel is FX Lily and Fam.
Hey, that's Forex Bob Ross.
Awesome. So I just want to say thank you so much for Baker to jump in on the call and explain every single thing you've been doing with the 4 rules. I really appreciate you taking your time to teach us. And everybody else, we have Andre going live tonight at 2:30 in the morning. So make sure to jump on the call on the Go Live session. Don't forget that his session is in the Slovenian channel, so you guys had to change the language, okay? And backtest, demo his strategy. He's very consistent. And then let me know if everybody has his link for his chat. I think I have it right here. I'll drop on the chat, and if you don't, just make sure you jump on the call. I mean, on his live sessions, and then he'll drop that as well on his Go Live chat. Okay. So I'll be ending this. I'll be ending this session right now. So thank you so much for everyone hopping on the call, and let's catch some pips. Okay. All right. Bye. Have a great night, y'all.